Hey guys. Okay, so I'm just chilling in my hotel room right now. I am in Minneapolis still until probably Tuesday. Um, so I went out earlier to a march that was for Adam Toledo, the teenager that was killed by the cops in Chicago when he had the gun in his hand, the 13-year-old. And so that was the march I was at earlier. I was testing out using Amiivo. This is what I was using. So trying to be light and not carry everything. But yeah, so that test was like so, not the greatest stream, but that's okay. It was organized by the Black Panthers, the local chapter here, and also the Brown Berets. And yeah, so just jumping on for a casual chatter hour or so with you guys on a Saturday night. Hi, Paisu-san and Cat Guy. I was watching Steve on PT News earlier, and so when I was interacting in the chat, somebody said that they had seen comments saying that Polish infiltrated Antifa. I mean, it was a peaceful march. So as I've been listening more to the rhetoric of people there, of course, like I don't agree with a lot of the things that are being said at it, and I can see how it lends to the division. I think of the Trump rallies that I used to attend and how for me that always felt that when I was listening to the speakers, it called for unity among people and also to be fighting for our rights, but not in a violent sense. I don't know, like I feel a lot of the speeches are quite radical. When it comes to let's see, Mr. Wright. All right, so thanks for the question. What do I do to blow off steam? Unwind with a glass of wine? I don't know. To blow off steam, I'm into boxing. So back at home, I have a boxing bag. And when I was watching the Stop the Steal rallies with the public hearings, and that would like make me really upset with the ... voter ... integrity ... fraud was going on there. And so I definitely needed to blow off steam while watching those public hearings. Well, Adam knows not to make me angry. Hey, Muser. Other things I like to do, I guess, I mean, you guys know I'm an avid traveler. I like to be on the road. I am usually living out of a suitcase. That's pretty much my life. So now with gearing up and trying to cover what's going on out in our various cities, granted thing, oh, hey, Devon. I don't look Polish. So you guys know I'm mixed. Filipino, Polish Filipino. And I guess it depends who's looking sometimes. My brothers are also, we all look very different, I would say. Like we can blend in changing our nationalities. A lot of people usually think I'm Latina. That or, of course, Filipino Asian. So that's like the obvious given. But I think I get most, other than Asian, would be Latina. My younger brother put cornrows in his head, and so I'm like, oh, you just changed nationalities again. Yes, I do believe that everybody should learn self-defense. You guys know that I trained for 4 months in boxing in the Philippines in 2019, and also I've trained off and on in Thailand for Muay Thai. I have been injured from sparring, so with that, I don't really do Muay Thai anymore. And that's how I actually got into boxing because if I can't kick, I'm going to learn how to throw a punch. And I figure when I can stay a little bit more stationary in Florida, there are I'm butchering that word, the Israeli self-defense, Krav Maga. And so I do plan on taking those classes. That's offered at a local boxing gym, and I'd like to study that form of a martial art. It's interesting, like going to, after like what had happened to me in January, I mean, I was just streaming off of my phone with not even a gimbal, just a selfie extension stick. And after that, I had to think of how to turn my equipment into self-defense gear, basically, and how I can use that tactically. And it's unfortunate that, like, as journalists and reporters, or just really as regular citizens, you got to be concerned with being attacked for having your camera out. Did you guys see? I posted it earlier on my page, but Mayor Wheeler had basically called for citizens to stand up and against Antifa over in Portland. And then I saw on somebody's Twitter page, it was DC Youth, the Youth Liberation Front. That's like the DC Antifa, say that, oh, that's just going to result in more broken cameras. So yeah, you always have to be, on your guard if you have a camera that's out, because they don't want you recording when they're breaking windows and breaking the law now, do they? Let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to pull that up so we can watch it together. A little bit of his comments, but when he said that, so now you're saying it? I mean, it's part of, he's the reason that this kind of behavior has been allowed to go on for so long. And I think it's good that he's asking the public to, like that. I do think it's going to be dangerous for the public too, but people in that community do need to be standing up to these bullies, to these vandals, to their murderers too. Let's not forget that. Collectively standing up to them. That's a good question. Let's put that one up. Who is more violent, Antifa or BLM? That's such if I were to get that question in a pageant now, that'd be a tough question. I would say actually BLM. And the reason I say BLM is because of its inspiration for what has turned into violence. I see that Antifa and BLM are definitely working in cahoots, although BLM has at times even condemned some of the violence of Antifa. They've cozied up with each other, and you make your bed with that. And I'd say BLM, since it is a Marxist organization, self-proclaimed by the leaders, and they have made it to be, in a sense, like a dangerous world, that if you are to say anything that is against the statement Black Lives Matter, because everybody's on board with the statement and the movement of Black Lives Matter, but what we're not on board with is the use of cancel culture and violence and bullying and suppression of people who may say something different. My natural reaction when I first heard Black Lives Matter is to say all lives matter. And because I'm like, yeah, of course Black Lives Matter, because all lives matter. But that is immediately greeted with oh, you're a racist for saying that. I'm like, what? So BLM is more dangerous than Antifa because of the increased division it has. As opposed to Antifa, you kind of know what you're getting when it comes to Antifa. You know they're anarchy. You know a lot of them are communist anarchists. So you know what you're getting when it comes to them. Versus BLM, it's more of I want to say an infection to the mind, that it causes such violence to erupt from even rhetoric or having a different opinion. So that's why I say it's more dangerous. Yeah, all Wheeler has to do is watch YouTube. There are thousands of videos for him. All he has to do is read Andy No's book, and Andy No in Unmasked has already a detailed description of a lot of them. And they need to stop ending the was releasing people in their own recognizance. Like, how many of those charges have been dropped when it comes to their violence? So maybe as a first step, it shouldn't be asking that people rise up, because shouldn't the police be doing their job there instead of asking regular civilians to go and photograph like the license of people who are dropping off Antifa at these riots? Like, shouldn't the police's action first? They should be allowed to do their job when it comes to Antifa. Shouldn't the DA not drop the charges? I mean, there's a lot of different things they can be doing first before they're involving the public. Because my first thought about that was like, heck yeah, I'll rise up against them, and stand with everybody to be against them. But it is, in a sense, like, it is a danger to do that, especially if there's not, in a sense, if there's not enough people standing up. Then of course there's strength in numbers, so we all got to do it. But even before he made that call, there's a lot of things that they could be doing on their end, like not releasing people of their own recognizance and without bail, not dropping the charges, allowing the police to be doing their job. I'm like, how about doing that? Exactly. We don't like any communism around here. Get out of here, you commies. Yeah, police should be allowed to do their job. So let me pull up Wheeler's YouTube. Let's pull this up on YouTube. Well, it's like pulling up my own YouTube, but is this thing? All right, there we go. It's awkward, like being the man in the chair, and usually I'm like doing chatters with like Adam. Adam Francisco, shout out to him. He got his strike, so you're not going to be seeing content from him for the next week. I got a warning on my account, so like the next action is going to be a strike from there. So that was my first warning onto my account. Share audio. There we go. So I got my first my first warning because of the influencer chat we had with Talia Like It Is. Even though we didn't say anything in our conversation that directly is contradictory to what the WHO says, any kind of discussion that is the opinion of anti-vax is not allowed. That's why, like, you know, when you're suppressing other people's opinions about things, like, everyone's going to be saying the same thing. I mean, why shouldn't we be allowed to have a conversation about other means of being healthy or broadcasting other people's voices? But yeah, so I got a warning on my account for that. And then Adam got a strike on his account for playing the video of the mom the Georgia mom that spoke at the school board meeting about kids, her opinion that kids shouldn't be wearing masks. And because it was an opinion of being anti-mask, of course, that's something that can't be spoken about either. So he got a strike onto his account for that. So Adam Francisco was not going to be able to be posting content for the next week because of that. And then, of course, 3 strikes in a 90-day period, they take down your whole channel. Hi, Marsha. LeBron James is the perfect example of a radical Marxist female. Yes. Okay, let's go back to Wheeler now and watch this together. Oh shoot, I guess I have to put in my headset for this. That way we don't have any echoes. Let me adjust this thing. Add the speaker. Thanks guys for bearing with me. Again, this is just casual chit chat hour. Ask me any questions so I can see them and connect with you guys. AirPods connect. Why are you not connecting? Sorry guys, having a little bit technical difficulty getting these AirPods to connect to my MacBook, which I don't know why. It is not wanting to. Maybe I gotta disconnect this one. Still not wanting to connect there. Shoot, I wish I took a backup audio. Let's see if I can just mute this thing. Such an awkward silence. Maybe we won't be watching this video if I can't get it to connect, because it's going to just bounce back the audio without me wearing any headset. All right, there we go. I don't know why that was so difficult, but me and technology are just not good friends. All right, there we go. Got that working. Let me check back on these comments. All right, do I use other platforms for streaming? So I just started a Restream account, so that way I'll be able to stream onto my Facebook group. I just got off of Facebook jail for 6 months. I haven't been able, I used to stream on Facebook, but I haven't been able to stream on Facebook for 6 months straight, basically. So I just got back out of Facebook jail for that. Also, I started using Periscope. People were telling me that Periscope was gone, but I've been using Periscope this week to stream. But those are the 3 that I've been on. I have Rumble. I have a BitChute. I have my content from the Stop the Steal rallies and my Proud Boy content has been uploaded over there, because we know how commie YouTube is. And so that's where you'll find my Stop the Steal protest coverage that I had from last fall. And also the footage I have of the Proud Boys. You'll find that content in Rumble and BitChute. Yeah, Portland can have the cops eliminate Antifa. There's plenty of ways that the cops need to step up first before the citizens. And so some people are saying that, like, oh, it's going to inspire like vigilante justice. I think it is important for the community to step up. But as a first level, I would assume, and this is pretty common sense, that first, how about having the police step up? Julius, what is Periscope like? Periscope is Twitter's version of live streaming. Oh, Marsha. Take a break from the peaceful protest live streams. Starting to become resentful. I feel ya. Yeah, the peaceful protests. Has it been like, now that I've been going to them, listening to the rhetoric of it, like I definitely see how people are becoming radicalized at them. Ads, skip these ads.
And are happily rediscovering Portland in larger numbers after nearly a year of quarantine. Justice was served. Following the verdict in the Chauvin trial, there's some sense of relief and hope, and of course, a reminder of how much work we have left to do. The city is beginning to recover, but self-described anarchists who engage in regular criminal destruction don't want things to open up, to recover. They want to prevent us from doing the work of making a better Portland for everyone. They want to burn, they want to bash, like they did to the nonprofit Boys and Girls Club in Northeast Portland. Really? They want to intimidate.
That's horrible what they did to the Boys and Girls Club.
Who will not join me at news conferences like this one because they're afraid that
hey, Nellie, yes, I am still in Minnesota. I'm going to be here till Tuesday.
Or their business. Many courageous BLM leaders have already stepped forward to denounce these self-described anarchists. If they can, we all should. If BLM leaders can show the courage to stand up to this mob, then we all should. I'm going to tell you what we're doing and how you can help. We've learned that once again, tonight, the anarchists have called for more destruction, starting Marsha. At Cooch Park.
Absolutely
we
right.
We shared the flyer that they posted on social media.
That's what I was hearing today also.
With you in our...
Pause that right there. So the organizers for today's march that I had attended, they were Black Panthers, the local chapter here, and also the Brown Berets. And they also had BLM speakers at their march. And it is more and more rhetoric about revolution, and seeing their revolution attire looks as though they are gearing up for a war with someone. Absolutely. It's an intimidation and scare and fear tactics that they're using when they're taking to the streets in the military style like gear. Sorry, I'm also like reading through the comments as you guys speak. So if I suddenly like pause, it's because my eye catches what I'm saying. He did not say Antifa, just anarchist. Yeah, what a freaking pussy. Just say it. He doesn't even, he said self-proclaimed anarchist. Like, he's not even like, it's like we're dancing around. We all know who he's talking about. He's talking about Antifa, but he won't even say it. All divide and conquer tactics, absolutely. Oh yeah, that guy who said the revolution will not be televised. This guy is like totally a provocateur. Like, I saw him all over like the Twitter feeds, and he was the guy that was hostile to Jason and got him like kicked out like of the protest over at Brooklyn Center when I was with him. He had gotten into it with Jason earlier in that day when we were around the county courthouse as well. And this guy is what he said, oh, the revolution will not be televised, because he had also said to other independent streamers and media that it was a privilege to be a journalist or to have media. Press is not privilege, it's a right. It's a First Amendment right to have freedom of the press. It is not a privilege. What you don't have the right to do is to assault a person. And so somebody had knocked Jason's camera at the event at Brooklyn Center. So nobody has a right to touch you or your stuff. I don't care what's being said. Like, if you get triggered and you know, your brain explodes over words or whatever, like, suck it up, buttercup. That doesn't give you the right to touch another person. Control your emotions. And F your feelings. Oh yeah. He called Jason a white devil. He also called him a white N-word. And so what was like absolutely insane about that was when people were actually defending the guy for saying to say the N-word. I'm like, wait a second, aren't we never supposed to be saying that word? And you just called him that. And people are asking Jason, like, well, why are you offended about that? He sounded like Farrakhan. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe he's friends with the guy who attacked the Capitol a couple of weeks ago. All right, let's go back.
Our news advisor. As your mayor, I'm responsible for safety and livability in our city.
As your mayor, you're doing a terrible job.
Resources of the city. We also have the partnership and cooperation of the county, state, and federal partners to intervene and stop the self-described anarchist mayhem. Our community needs to resume their lives. People need to go back to work. Employers need to be able to reopen. I've directed the police bureau to arrest people engaged in illegal activity whenever they can safely do so tonight to prevent and limit further destruction. I support our police using all legal strategies, including kettling, when the appropriate circumstances and resources are available to do so without putting officers at risk of physical harm.
Yeah, he's a dangerous agitator, that guy.
The anarchist threat against the Pearl District on social media is part of their ongoing attempt to instill fear by intimidation. We must stand together as a community against this ongoing criminal intimidation and violence. I've met with the district attorney, the U.S. attorney, the sheriff, and others who all agree they too will take actions to hold law violators accountable. And I've extended the state of emergency through the weekend. Our job is
I was doing kettlebells earlier today at the
arrest
gym.
them, and prosecute them. I want to personally thank neighbors, family, friends, and others who've come forward with vital evidence. People know who these criminals are. They know what they're up to. If you have any information, please contact the police. Acting Chief Davis will provide specifics shortly. I also want you to know that these people often arrive at their so-called direct actions in cars, and they're all dressed in all black. If you see this, call the police. If you can provide a license plate, if you can do so safely, that information can help later. Together, we can make a stand. We're doing what we can today. I'm also asking for your help to make a stand and take our city back. Thank you. Now I'd like to turn it over to Acting Chief Chris Davis. Chief?
Let the man do his job.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Davis, the Deputy Chief of the Portland Police Bureau.
Okay, so you guys can watch the rest of that. That's one of the last videos I posted. But all right, going back to Marsha, how you're saying that you think that Jason should just observe at these events, and it's the route that I've kind of gone, because like I go attend these rallies as an observer just because, you know, I mean, that's what I was doing even in January, but I'm just going to speak my opinions from like the safety of my hotel from like now on, as opposed to doing any kind of commentary really when I'm at events. Like, so in terms of level setting expectations, I'm not going to really be speaking too much on camera. Depending what the event is, I probably won't even show my face, or, you know, it just what I'm wearing or anything like that. If it's, today was fine and everything. I went on camera a little bit, turning it in my direction so you guys could see me at the protest. But somebody had even said on the PT News stream earlier that, Polish is infiltrating Antifa. So I don't know if that meant that they were, if I'm still some sort of like target to them or anything. I'm still going to be reporting in New York and everything. I will be spending some time there in the next week and a half my plan is I'm going to be going from here to probably Portland for May Day. They have events scheduled at one of the parks. Let me see if I can pull this thing up for you. And then from there to New York, I was thinking of having May Day, which is May 1st in New York. But Portland, of course, is a fun hotspot to be at on May Day. But let me see if I can pull up this photo. Oh, I didn't screenshot it, darn. They had it's bingo that's going on, but let's see. Just easier than pulling things up on my. So May Day at Peninsula Park at 1:00 is one of the events that Antifa is organizing there, and May Day, the Democratic Socialist. You're brave going to all the Marxist states. Does it get old not having freedom of speech? Yeah, true. Muser, how do you know that my dad was worried about me earlier today? You're probably talking about the chats. So the setup that I had earlier, I wasn't able to monitor really the chats without toggling between. So basically the way I had it set up, it was a test run with the Mevo, but I have my cell phone usually attached to here, but the Mevo has its own screen. And then the feed kept dropping and buffering and everything. And so when it did that, it would actually disconnect on the Mevo screen. So I couldn't stay logged in basically into the YouTube where I could see your guys' comments. I had to stay logged into the Mevo screen to restart the stream when it would break. And so all I was doing was walking around really with this, trying to keep it light. The stabilization was horrible. I had to load, and since I was just streaming off of the data on my phone and not using my live view, the area that I was in had horrible reception. So I dropped the stream quality to even 360. But yeah, so it was a test run on this equipment. Won't be using that setup anymore. Definitely going to keep the live view. The issue is the equipment is quite heavy. And so I was going to use a vest, but it's very front heavy with that. But Julius has sent me a link earlier to a good backpack. So I'm definitely going to get that. And so the backpack's probably $230, but it'll center the weight around my lower back as opposed to in the front. And so with the balance of weight, it'll also, because I gotta be able to run. Actually, even when I go out to these events, I wear not a brace, but a sleeve on my knee. The one that was injured when I was sparring. And that was 2 years ago, and I still have issues with that. I'm like, my career as an MMA fighter is never gonna happen now because of that. But yeah, so I wasn't able to observe your guys' comments for the most part during the rally. So how much does it cost to live stream? So my live view, let me grab this unit so you can see, kind of like talk through a little bit of the fun equipment that I got going on here. All right, so I did get one of these that are used by like the professionals. And so it is a live use solo. And this unit with the two modems here, and then I have a Netgear modem as well, a hotspot, but that was $1,600 for this equipment. And then the monthly subscription from that is $460. So that is the cost for that. And then also like a subscription to Restream is like $50. So it is quite costly to be doing this, and my main sponsor, other than what I get through like super chats from you guys, a lot of my stuff doesn't actually monetize because of the content that I do cover. So so monetization on YouTube is not really too much of a thing for me. As you guys know, I'm a small channel, so that's why I greatly appreciate all the support I get with super chats, and I do have a Patreon account, so it's all Poe and Brotherhood. That is the source of funding for it, but other than that, like pay for it for myself. But I took a different route, you know, in my life, that, and now I'm diving really into journalism, trying to cover what's going on with the various movements in the US. I have the ability to travel. I do have a small business on the side that I don't really, you know, advertise all that much, because current cancel culture, I don't want them trying to do something to me in that regard. And then my number one supporter is my father. So he hooked up the gear to get me ready for, you know, summer travel, basically. You practice MMA? I do. I do box, and I have off and on been doing Muay Thai since I was like 19. My trainer there used to say I kicked like a horse, but I was part of a fight club also when I was living in Miami. I was competing in pageants at the time, so when I was sparring, doing that and bruising up, it was quite conflictual to be able to do MMA and pageantry at the same time. So. But I guess like if I had was able to travel right now, like I am dying to be back in Thailand and training in a camp there again. But yeah, so like I want to focus a lot on Krav Maga when I can settle what. I'm not so much on the road. I am part of, you know, in terms of like gym memberships, I love Pilates. So I am a member of Club Pilates, and the reformer classes are like amazing. And so that's almost like religion to me. I go when I'm back at home, I go like every day to that. I'm part of a rock climbing gym as well. And as I get better at rock climbing and develop more of my strength, because I am a firm believer in that we should be working out, keeping our strength up. I think that will be life-saving for everybody. I mean, let me show you guys something I saw on Twitter earlier today. So if I can, to end fat phobia, we need to dismantle Western civilization, says Philly therapist Sonali Rashad. First of all, I don't think we need to dismantle Western civilization to end fat phobia. I think, and I'm not talking about like body shaming or anything, but it is important to live a healthy lifestyle. It is important to maintain a healthy weight. It prevents diabetes. I had a cousin that died from diabetes. I have an aunt that's obese, and like I see like the problems are caused from choices that we make in our lives when it comes to our health. And we should be doing things to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I'm a huge proponent of working out in sunshine as a means for combating depression and mental health. I mean, granted, like depending on what's going on, like if you need medication and everything, like what's even stronger, I feel, and I'm not a medical doctor, I do have a psychology undergraduate that I never used. but sunshine and exercise does wonders for you. And so Western civilization is not responsible for fat phobia. Like, we shouldn't be encouraging that to be a standard. And I don't know if I don't think I'm sounding harsh about it, but I'm like, freaking just go to the gym, work out, and maintain strength. I know this one woman, she was in a terrible car accident that a pipe went through her chest. The reason she survived it was she was in such fantastic health that this accident would have killed anybody else. But she was the reigning Miss Florida at the time and in fantastic physical shape. Her physical shape is actually what saved her life in that car accident. So for me, I like to mix in fitness with self-defense. All right, let me check through some of the comments. Damn, you must have strong legs. I also am a Polynesian dancer, so with that, it's a lot of shaking hips and leg work. So yeah, I was told I could kick like a horse, but I think with dancing, doing Tahitian dancing and Polynesian dancing is Tahitian Samoan. I focused on Tahitian dancing, but I also did the hula, but I was doing that since I was like 8 years old is when my mother got me involved with Polynesian dance. So I used to do Polynesian dance competitions, and it was my talent when I was competing in the Miss America system. And I also danced professionally with a production company when I lived in Florida in my youth. Oh, this is a good question. How did your dad and brothers feel after seeing you attacked? I know I was dying. I can't imagine how your family felt. So that's actually a complicated question because I don't even know if my older brother and my mother are aware of what happened to me. And so we have a great political divide in my household. My younger brother is neutral when it comes to politics, so I do think he voted for Trump because he's a very logical guy. But so my older brother is completely libtard. He still thinks Antifa is an idea. It becomes very awkward when I talk about Antifa even at the house. But yeah, so and my mom is also very liberal. It's not that she's even liberal. It's just she's such a Trump hater. And then so basically, like, my mother and my older brother have never talked to me about what happened. I haven't even mentioned it to them. So I don't even know if my mom and my older brother know that I was assaulted by Antifa. Phil, my older brother, still thinks Antifa is an idea, even though there's plenty of mounting evidence that it's not an idea. My younger brother, on the other hand, was absolutely like furious for what happened to me, and he's like, if you're going to be going to these type of events, I know I can't stop you. But he actually he's like, if you're gonna go and you can't have somebody go with you, like, just let me know. I'll fly with you because he's got the same flight privileges as me. He's like, I'll go with you. So, but he immediately called me up like that day on January 10th. Like the first person I talked to actually was Adam. And that's because, Adam and I do a lot of like YouTube partnership together, and YouTube took down the stream immediately. So fortunately, Adam was able to recover the stream and get the footage. So we were able to then tweet out to show what Antifa is actually like, and then also like that day the failure of the NYPD to help me in that situation. But yeah, so my dad's perspective is that of course he was happy. He was proud that I didn't fight back, that I didn't swing back and punch. And in one sense, you got to be smart about that situation. There was no way that I was going to be able to handle a group of 30 on one. If I had swung back in any way to defend myself, that would have just escalated things even more. So I had the only survival and thing that I could do in that situation was to take it. And also, like, I know that they would have, if I punch you, you're going to feel it. And you know that as a Trump supporter, as a conservative, that's when the media would have been, if I were to have punched a black guy at a BLM Antifa march, like, the story totally would have then made it on CNN, because like it's not like any of the mainstream media had covered what had happened to me, though I had told my story and my experience on other conservative media channels. Conservative media channels were interested in discussing it. But you bet that if I had punched back, the narrative would have been that a black person was attacked by a Trump supporter at a peaceful BLM rally. You know that's what the headline would have been. Let me scroll down to a couple more of these. It's a nice question. Here we go. Tara, do you love the heritage like your dad and mom come from? Well, I guess it's the way I was raised, and embrace it. Love the heritage. So I am assuming, Paul, that you're talking about my Polish heritage and my Filipino heritage. Is that the question? Assuming that is, yes, I am. I've always been a proponent of cultural diversity, and actually my first platform when I was competing for Miss America was a cultural diversity platform, and it was about celebrating culture. So kind of when I saw I saw the way that BLM was in a sense trying to solve racism in America, and it's totally contrary to everything that I did when I was a competitor in the Miss America system and raising awareness for cultural diversity, because I saw celebrating our cultures and our individual uniquenesses of heritage, of our ethnic heritage, was a means of, inviting people to learn more. And so that to me helps to solve racism, and it helps to increase tolerance between communities that are different, because a lot of, I guess, hate is going to stem from fear or lack of exposure. And so we should be, in a sense, like inviting everybody to, like, hey, come have pierogies or lumpia or like food. I am a big proponent of food. Like, actually, like other than doing riot chasing and politics, like, I love food and travel. I do have another Instagram account, Foods Worth Traveling For, and I've been all over trying all the different street cuisines to fine dining restaurants and stuff. But I think food and cultural food is a great unifier, because we all got to eat. We all got to be at a table. Even enemies, like to properly, like, you see that in movies sometimes, that they sit down with your enemy and you still have a meal. But food is a great unifier. So when you want to teach other people about language or dances, or because I grew up also doing Filipino traditional dances, I think I was definitely more in touch with my Filipino culture growing up than my Polish culture. And the reason for that being, I mean, both my parents took me and my brothers very often to Poland and the Philippines. As I've stated before, I am a Polish citizen, but I started going to the Philippines almost every year to every other year since I was in the 5th grade, and then to Poland numerous times starting from 2nd grade. Poland was my first country that I had traveled to when I was 7 years old, so outside of the US. But okay, so like backtracking a little bit. So my approach to celebrating cultural diversity and what I promoted in my platform was so different than what I was seeing with BLM and the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And like how I promoted things never made people angry. It was inviting people to be learning about the culture. That's a peaceful way of like ending racial divides. Like all what we see happening now is the increase in division. And the people who are in charge, Democrats, they get their power from our division. So they feed into it. You saw like in the if you watched Jen Psaki's press conference today, they still very much like the choice of words and rhetoric that they use. So they criminalize, or not criminalize, but they say what conservatives say is hatred. They use these pretty words to give you bullshit. And that's why like I'm so over this like PC culture that we have now. Like we shouldn't go out of our way to intentionally like be mean. I'm not saying that, but when you sugarcoat something that is horrible, like things are meant to stay offensive. Like we shouldn't be making things that are offensive less offensive as a means of dancing around it. See. Lumpia is really good. So yeah, lumpia is my favorite Filipino dish for sure. And it's funny, like when I say that in Filipino, people usually go, "Ah, lumpia!" I feel you there. I can't watch stupid, so I can't watch Jen Psaki. Correct. Celebrating other cultures does not mean choosing one culture or hating that one culture while promoting other cultures. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jason's the best. I've been very fortunate to be able to like cross paths with him like here in Minneapolis. That was amazing to be able to go on a ride along, because I always learned so much from a conversation with him. And I was telling him that like every time I talk to you, it just makes me think of 100 more questions that I would have never otherwise had. So I'm a bourbon drinker actually, but this is white wine. So I'm going. It's light. I have white wine, but I am a bourbon drinker. Pinay is all I remember. Yep, Pinay is the Filipino term for a girl. So the funny thing is, I remember one time I didn't know the difference between Pinay and Pinoy, so I would say I was Pinoy, which is a Filipino guy. And then one time I said I was a little Pinoy girly, and my mom's like, that's definitely not the right thing to say. Yeah, today if you're either black, and if not, you're a racist. Yeah, we're all white supremacists and Nazis and all of that. Now it's just like, those things don't even faze me anymore. I'm just like, okay, whatevs. Call me what you like. And remember, just because you say that does not make it so I am. So. Hey, Guy. So I'm still here in Minneapolis, so not in Chicago or Illinois. I am staying here till Tuesday, so I won't be able to make it to the event that you had invited me to in Schulenburg. But hopefully the other event that you had sent me, that's at the end of May, maybe that's a possibility. I remember you saying that was going to be a big rally. And I miss Trump rallies, guys. So as I'm going around to different places, please send me events and rallies that are going around in the country. If I can swing going, I will absolutely go to stream and cover it on the channel. I'm always like looking through Twitter and social media trying to find events. So now that, you know, I'm able to connect with you guys and have this community going on, like I want to be able to go to these events and stream them from, and I am very flexible with my time to be going. So I'm serious when I say like, oh, this, you know, I could possibly go. Like traveling is not an issue for me. Well, I marry you. That's so sweet. Thank you very much. You know, I want to go to a boat rally. I have not been. I feel like I have such luck sometimes, such bad luck at missing events. Sometimes there's the Villages in Florida. I tried to go to one of the golf cart rallies, and it was scheduled that day, and then they like rescheduled it or something, and so I ended up going, and then finding out it got rescheduled, so I missed it. It was going to be the following week, and Villages is maybe like an hour from my home in Orlando, but I am dying to see a boat rally. I am dying to see a golf cart rally and a boat rally. So if any of those rallies are still like going on, I definitely have to make it to those. Yeah, I do believe that with Trump, the average person had a chance. Like, I remember back when I was a Trump hater, and I'm like, oh, if Trump can become president, anybody can be president. But now I'm like the reverse, but still saying I have a reverse meaning to that, but it's still the same words. If Trump can be president, the rest of us have a shot too, because he was an average guy. He's not a career politician, and that's something I love about him. And it's something I didn't like about him before, but now, like, as I've been in touch with politics and what's going on in the nation, which I was completely removed from for when I came back from traveling because of COVID, I came back from traveling. I had a very fresh outlook. So I wasn't conditioned like the rest of the sheep that are around. And so because I was a liberal, I haven't changed my party registration. I'm still registered as a Democrat. And for the most part, I just voted for like party lines. And even with Obama, like I voted for him because he's Black. I'm like, isn't that racist actually? Like, so when people say like I vote for her because she's a woman, I'm like, okay, so you're gonna vote for a person just because what's between their legs? Gotcha. No, so in Martin Luther King's like own words is like to be judging the content of character and the merit of character and not by the color of their skin. Or that's why like I like when I identify as Polish American or identify as Filipino American or Filipino or any of that, like those are aspects of my identity, but first and foremost, I'm American. And so those, characteristics that are your characteristics that are innate to you as a person doesn't qualify you for an event. It doesn't qualify you really for an opinion. It doesn't, and we should not be shutting down the other person's opinion just because like they aren't from a certain community. We should definitely listen to people of that community. But I'm so tired of how it's like you need to have a pot to piss in order to have an opinion. That if you're not Black, that you can't have an opinion about what's going on in America and how BLM is impacting our lives. It's impacting all of our lives. It's impacting our cities. It's impacting our jobs. Like it's one thing to be making like a medical opinion. Sure, I would definitely trust a doctor over that. But even now with the current pandemic, the faux-demic, I don't even trust the doctors. I don't trust those hospitals. Exactly, not racist, but it is identity politics. I'm excited to see if DeSantis runs. I am so happy with how he's been handling Florida, and I think he's a fantastic governor. I am so proud of him for for not shutting it down. I'm glad that he passed a very strict, I would say it is draconian anti-riot laws, but that's what's going to be protecting like Florida. Like we're not going to have the problems that these democratic states, blue states are having, because nobody's going to riot in Florida with that law. Like the punishment is very strict if you're rioting. And that's what's going to be needed. It's riot season, y'all. Let me show you another like meme that got me cracking up the other day. Oh, if I can find it. Here we go. There we go. I can't believe it's riot season already. I still have my COVID-19 decorations up. Yeah, Florida does have blue counties. Orlando, where I live, is actually blue. But we got to change that, right? Let's put that up. Big news. India's public health ambassador, Mr. Vivek, died suddenly, only a day after receiving the COVID-19 vaccination. His vaccination was televised by MSM. He died the next day, 59 years old. So that's a good question. Do I feel my Filipino side or my Polish side is more prominent? My Filipino side is more prominent because since my physical looks are more Filipino than Polish, when people see me, they don't go like, "Hey, that's a Polish girl." But when they see me, they do say like, "Hey, that's a Latina girl." Just kidding. They do think I'm Filipino. And then also like the church that I went to, like growing up and everything, has a very big Filipino community. So I had a lot of Filipino friends growing up. It was challenging for me being mixed, though. I will say that when I was a kid growing up, I didn't feel like I was accepted really by like Filipinos or Polish. Before I looked different. I was thicker than the rest of the girls because like a Filipino like beauty standard and everything was like thinner with like thick black hair, and that really wasn't me. And I think within like our own like ethnic groups, people are very cliquey and gossipy. So it was hard for me really to connect with feeling I belonged in the Filipino group. And then for me, there was no connection when it came to the Polish side for like a Polish community, even though the church I went to, St. Joseph's, did have a Polish mass later on. I guess my mom was more active in the Filipino community, so I did do Filipino dances. And do we have more Polish food or Filipino food at the house? I guess my dad does the cooking in our house. He'll say real men do the cooking. Mom really got lucky actually, because he does all the work. Our food in the house is always like mixed and eclectic, but it was a big thing always to have like a lot of Filipino parties. So we were always hosting like barbecues, which are with lechon. So a lot of Filipino food, often because of the Filipino parties. And so in which case, like my Filipino side is more prominent. Really, I started getting more in touch with my Polish side when my dad had me start this channel. And for a question I had gotten earlier from Lincoln was about like, why do I call the channel the Polish American Brotherhood? And so, or why do I identify in a sense as Polish American as opposed to just an American? So two separate questions. The first one is like, it's Polish American is just an aspect of who I am. I do feel first and foremost American, then Polish or Filipino. But I am big on celebrating culture and the cultural diversity. So I like saying I'm Polish American. I like saying that I'm Filipino American. I think it's an aspect that can be celebrated. So that's why. Now, as to why do I call the channel Polish American Brotherhood? And so that's because initially when I had started this channel, it was intended to be a history channel. And so with being a history channel, we were my dad is the one that wanted to be promoting Polish history and Polish American history, and particularly with Kosciuszko. Like, for example, the Revolutionary War heroes. Kosciuszko was a Revolutionary War general that fought alongside General George Washington. And, I'm a big fan of the musical Hamilton, and he's not even a character in it, but he was there fighting right next to General George Washington during the American Revolution. And a lot of why America was able to win its independence from Britain was because of the Polish people and the contribution that they had in fighting alongside. Like, America provided the artillery, but the Polish people brought forth like the spirit as well, and the military tactics, because Poland is a country that has been wiped off the map several points in history and has always come back. So there's a resilience when it comes to the people, and then also the knowledge when it comes to warfare there. And so Poland was also the second constitution in the world, the first one in Europe the first country in Europe to have a constitution, to adopt a constitution. And with that, so that was the start of the Polish American Brotherhood, and it has nothing to do with me. And so that's why when you guys see me and you're like, oh, Brotherhood, but she's female. Because the name of the channel has nothing to do with me as a person. It's the relationship between Poland and America, and Poland and America are brothers. And really, Poland is leading now, I feel like, in terms of conservative culture, because it's a very Christian, it's a very Catholic country. And here in Poland, Christ is king. And so Poland is a very nationalistic country. And I think that is a good thing. When they try to say nationalism is a bad thing, there's a tipping ground when it comes to that. When a country is staying true to its own values, that's what's necessary. And we've deviated so much in America from what are American values, as to what is the American dream. The American dream was the upward mobility, that no matter what class of society you're born into, you can command your own fate and move upwards. We don't have a caste system. You have the ability of rising to the top out of your own hard work, your own ethics, your own ability. Your own ability is if you're smart and you got a plan and you go for it, chances are you're going to be successful if you keep at it and you're resilient about it. My dad coming into America, he came with nothing. He had a horrible life under communist Poland. His father passed away when he was 7 years old. And he ran away from the Soviet blocks when he was a teenager. He saw a picture of America when he was 13. He's like, that's where I'm going to go. And the laws were different at the time, what we have now in terms of immigration, because I get that question a lot about how can we be so strict about or my views to be so strict about immigration when my own father is a refugee and my mom's an immigrant. They came over legally. And so people who are illegal migrants coming into the country, that is detrimental to the people who actually are going through the legal process. So my dad came as a refugee, but through the legal process, and that's why it's a slap in the face to people who are going in through the legal process. And F your feelings and everything, but it delays the process as well. And we have so many issues that are coming about because in this guise of being humanitarian. I was watching Candace Owens the other day, and she had such an interesting story to tell about one woman who had come to America through the cartels from Guatemala. And so basically the hard trek of the journey is getting to America. But once they're in America, it's as if the Democrats, the politicians have a relationship with these cartels. And I'm not making that accusation. Of course, like we all have to do our own research when it comes to that. But like, why else are they pushing so much for catering to illegal migrants as opposed to the own people that are here? And they make it easy for them, and then and create these sanctuary cities under the guise of, oh, it's humanitarian. I'm like, it's not humanitarian sanctuary cities. Like if like, how are we supposed to provide any like rights and protections to people if we don't know that you're here? Is one thing, but you're not allowed. Like, all right, sorry, I digress because I went into such a tangent about it. So I'll address that in a later point. But I did subscribe to the Daily Wire pretty recently, and I'm very happy with my subscription to that and to have access to the Candace's show, Candace. I'm enjoying that thoroughly. But yeah, so basically, the Polish American Brotherhood has nothing to do with me. And so some people are like, oh, especially after they saw what happened to me in January, they're like, I don't know who the Polish American Brotherhood is, but if Antifa hates them, I want to be with them. So they're like, how can I join the Polish American Brotherhood? And others were like, where's the Brotherhood there to protect you, like, for this to happen? And when people were like, she's part of the Polish American Brotherhood, she's a Nazi, like, get her. No, Polish American Brotherhood is the name of the channel, and it's just because Poland and America are brothers. Going through your guys' comments and questions. Oh, geez, I've already been ranting for more than an hour. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I want to thank you guys for joining me with this casual chatter, and yeah, we'll shoot the shit from time to time, guys. Thanks for you guys spending the last like hour with me, and it's always nice to connect. So I'm going to end this broadcast, and again, thank you so much, and I look forward to the next.